This is Joe Peters from MomFit with Joe Peters. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network and the H.E.R Network on single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Single TV app in the respective iOS and Android devices app stores. The app is free. While you are downloading, make sure that you rate the app and give a comment. Single TV is also available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV, Roku, and Roku Stick in all smart TVs since 2016. Welcome to MomFit. I am Joe Peters, your host. I am being a coach for the last 15 years. And after spending a lot of time with corporate, I fall in love with this journey of helping moms to win the marathon of motherhood without depletion. And start with my own journey as a mom and move into this beautiful TV show where we have experts every week to help us to have the tools and the team to win motherhood in our own terms. So if you are not following me yet, please go to Instagram at Joe Unicorn Coach. Follow me there. I handle my own social media. So if you have a topic, if you have an issue, if you have a problem, and you want our help, you want my help, and you want me to help find an expert for you, go there, send me a DM, share what message, what topic you want to talk about, and I will find an expert like Linda to help you and help you to thrive. So today I am very excited because we just find in the green screen behind the show that my beautiful guest today share my baby's birthday. So this is a very special episode. I don't believe that things happen for coincidence. So Linda's going to help us about dinner time, sanity, saving secrets. And one of the things that I love about Linda is Linda's cooking skills were so bad. Her own family banned her from cooking when she was a teen. Happily, her skills have dramatically improved. She now has over 1,000 cookbooks, is a graduate of the Rocks Cooking School and the Institute of Integrated Nutrition, and has countless cookbooks and cooking courses for the International Culinary Center and Natural Gourmet Institute under her belt. She is a kitchen confidence coach and owner of, and I'm going to say this wrong, so when Linda introduces herself, she's going to correct me, Balaboosta's Secret, where she helped busy women and moms with meal planning, prep, and cooking lessons, as well as coaching them on how to serve dinner with side dishes, of clever conversations with the family, a stress-free cooking for a maximum flavor, fun, and jump. Wherever you are a beginning cook, a well seasoning cook, or a brand new mom that is struggling to even have a shower, Linda got your back. She also worked one on one virtually and helping you to go in what is working for you. And Linda, I want to welcome you to the show because this topic is so important to me because as a health coach with my own clients, I see that, especially with new moms and pregnant moms, is we have this society push of if you're pregnant, you almost have a blank check. Well, you're pregnant, eat whatever, don't put effort, make it easy. And then from there, we start actually putting things in our body that are not very supportive for when we are in the fourth trimester. And then in the fourth trimester, this is one of the first things that we sacrifice. We are sleep deprived, we are tired, we barely can have a shower. So guess what? We don't need enough. We forget about having dinner time with our spouse. So I'm super happy to have you here to help our moms to see that it doesn't have to be hard, that you are here to have their back, to help us with some tips and things to help them to thrive. Let's gonna start with introducing yourself. Tell me a little bit about the transformation from being expelled from the kitchen as a teen to becoming this cooking queen and helping others, how the transformation went to. And also, one of the things is I always ask my guests for their phrase. Um, and your phrase is very interesting because it's got to bed to be, it's got to be the going, but just the getting that is that good. And I want you to talk a little bit about that phrase that you share, and why is that. And let's gonna have a fantastic show. Welcome to MomFit.
Oh, thank you so much. And you did pronounce it right. It is Balaboosta's secret.
Good.
So, a little bit about me. I really was a horrible cook. My mom was not a very good cook at all. And Tuesday night, she made one dish. Wednesday night, she picked up some dish. Thursday night, she picked up some dish. Terrible cook. And when I was in high school, I said to her, Mom, you're really a terrible cook. And so she said to me, okay, smart Alex, see if you can do any better. And she bought me a cookbook called The Joy of Cooking. And it was this big, humongous book, no pictures. Oh my God, no pictures. I didn't know what I was doing. And she certainly didn't teach me. But she said, you have to pick a recipe one day a week and tell me the ingredients. I will buy them for you and you can cook dinner. So now the pressure was tremendously on me because I couldn't pick something normal, something ordinary, because that would have been too boring for me at the time. So I picked these crazy things. The first time I cooked a meal, I cooked Swedish meatballs. What do I know about Swedish meatballs? Absolutely zero. Never had them, never saw them, never tasted them. Awful. Came out, they were like rocks. My family was growing, but they said, first time out of the bat, it's okay, we'll give her a pass. Well, my second meal was even worse. My third meal was even worse. And they said, you're done. It's a big cookbook and you're not going through it because we hate how you cook. And I was really banned. So a lot of people, and moms do this to themselves all the time. They say, okay, I'm done. I don't know how to cook. And then they just do the bare minimum of whatever they need to get by, and they just figure that they're a failure. I'm not like that. I wasn't raised like that. I looked at it as like, okay, game on. I'm going to show you I actually can do better. And I took it upon myself to learn how to cook. I bought cookbooks with pictures. There was no internet at the time where I could watch a cooking video, and very little was on TV that you could learn from. But I took cooking classes and I did all kinds of things to get myself to be better, to learn different flavors, combinations of foods, all kinds of things. I then went on to become a lawyer and still did my cooking. And I did a lot of entertaining with friends because I found that the cooking was a great way to show love and a great way to have creativity and very relaxing once I knew what I was doing. It wasn't so relaxing when I started out, but I got to the point where it was relaxing for me. I had my kids later in life, and I took time off from being a lawyer because I really wanted to focus on my kids. And as they were getting to be the age where they would have sleepovers and play dates where kids would, spend time, I'd make them dinner. And I didn't do the takeout pizzas for dinner. I didn't do the Kraft macaroni and cheese for dinner. I made them a dinner. And then when we'd sit at the dinner table, we'd start playing games. And my kids' friends would look at me like, people do this? My mom doesn't cook like this. We don't sit and have fun at the dinner table. It's like, I can't wait to leave. Can you teach my mom how to do this? And so, out of the mouth of the children, sparked in me an idea of like, this is such an important time in everybody's life. How could they not want to do this or learn how to do this? And maybe I can make it easy for them to learn. And so that's how my business became about. A balaboosta is an old-fashioned Yiddish term, and it means a woman who makes a fine home. And my fine home is not the Martha Stewart perfect home by any stretch of the imagination. My home is the home that everybody wants to go to. They're going to have good food, great conversation. They're going to put their feet up. They're going to feel comfortable. And as a mom, I want my kids' friends to feel comfortable in my house. I want to know who they're socializing in with, what they're doing. And I want their friends to be comfortable enough with me that if they have any problems that they can't go to a parent or somebody else, they can come to me because they know that it's a welcoming home. So that's my idea of a perfect home. And that's what I do, a Balaboosta.
I really like and resonate with that thing, because one of the things that that you learn on safe attachment with little kids is children need 30% of connection, real connection with you. Not with phones, not with tablets, not doing something else. real connection with their parents to develop that safety and that confidence that is going to help them later on. And the reality is, when we start thinking on this crazy world that we are working now, some moms start grasping their air and say like 30%, where I'm gonna have that? And one of the easiest ways to do it is starting there, is how we can cook together and pick the recipes and involve them, so we are connecting there, and then we sit down together in the table with, probably that is one of the things that you're going to tell us about, a rule of not phones and not screens on the table. So we play, we have actually, I don't know if this is going to happen, I'm from Colombia, and since the time that we start thinking about having a baby, I always have this dream of being in the dining table with my son and my husband is from Iowa, and rolling dice and saying, okay, with the two languages, and they say, okay, each of us is going to speak a different language during the dining table, because one of my biggest goals and fears, to be honest, is that my baby grow up not being able to speak my language. So I love that you are in connecting that as well. And also, we are seeing it more and more with social media, with phones, and it's what you are saying, that kids, and let's gonna be honest, it was not like that 3 generations ago, because the 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago, they were actually so scared about their parents that they will not go to their parents.
Yeah.
Now they are not scared of their parents, but they are still not going and saying, hey, I need help, hey, like, I need advice. They are taking advice from peers that have the same level of understanding that them. So how wonderful is to be able to make that mind shift of cooking is boring, cooking takes so much time, I don't have time for doing this, into this is a tool that I can use to tackle so many things on the well-being of my family.
You know, the studies show, in addition to all those wonderful things that you just said, the studies show that kids who have a sit down family meal do better in school. They have better communication skills. They're less likely to use illegal substances. I mean, there's a huge list of the benefits. And on top of all that is like, you're connecting with your family. I mean, that's why you had a family, and you're creating memories, which is a wonderful thing to have going forward. And you're modeling healthy habits and skills for your kids to do for themselves and for them to do for their families when they get older. I mean, it's a win win situation no matter how you look at it.
And I want to talk with you right now, before we go into the next topics, about the timing, right? Because we have moms to be, we have new moms, and we have moms of toddlers and even older kids. So correct me if I'm wrong, and I want to hear your opinion. But even as a mom to be, start creating the habit for you of making a meal, sitting down with your husband. So you, your baby's learning everything from the womb. Your baby's going to start knowing that around that time is a quiet time where you are happy, where you are relaxed, and is going to start connecting eating with relaxing and feeling happy. And then, when one of the things that I always advise my moms against of is the traditional introducing of foods of babies, where the baby eat alone and you are just feeding the baby, and the baby eat alone, and then after the baby's done, then the baby goes and plays, and then the parents eat. I actually invite them to go more into like a baby lead winning, where the baby's with them, we all eat together, and start going to that. So if you are a mom to be or a new mom, you can start from that. Now, as an expert, I want to ask you, what about the moms that are just rolling their eyes right now and saying like, I wish I knew this 4 years ago, I wish I knew this 8 years ago, my kid do not want to sit down at the table with us, my kid will get upset when he has to sit with us, my kid will get grumpy and roll his eyes, so I already failed. I cannot change that. What would be some of that strategy? Because I think that you agree that it's never too late. So
It's
what they
never
can
too
do.
late. You have to, I like to call it, you have to get the kids skin in the game. So I'm going to start with the food, and then I'll go into the lack of attention and wanting to be there. So if you start with the food, every time I make a meal, even now, I'll say to my, and I'm always inventing things because to me it's creative. And I'll say to my family, first thing off the bat, is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Because you want feedback. But again, I don't take no for an answer, and I'm not personally offended because we're all learning and we all make mistakes. So don't take it as a personal slight, take it as a learning experience. If they give me a thumbs down or a mediocre thumb, I'll say to them, what could I do differently next time to make it better? So now I'm teaching them I value their opinion. They have to think about what tastes good, what textures they like, what flavors they like, and I'm not giving up. I'm teaching them you have to be resilient and keep on trying. And if the next time I make it, I incorporate some of their suggestions, now I'm validating their opinions. So now they have skin in the game because I just said, oh, I just made it the way you suggested. Well, they're going to be a little reluctant to say how horrible it is because it was their suggestion. So that's, gets you over one hump. And another thing you can do is when you are having fun at the dinner table, you're not paying so much attention to the food. So it doesn't have to be this fabulous meal every single night if you're having fun. So we play fun and games that we play games at the table all the time, even now. And my kids come down and say, what are we playing tonight at dinner? And when they have friends come over, they say, oh, do you know that we play games at the dinner table and you're going to play? And it's a great way for everybody to be relaxing. So much of our days are spent trying to be professional or trying to be the good mom or trying to be whatever box you have to go into. When do you get to be yourself? And so at dinner time, let your hair down, let your kids let their hair down and have fun with them. It's such a precious time.
And I think that one important thing there is unlearning the pressure of what I think that the dining time and the diner table is one of those points that really trigger some of those old patterns that our grandmas and our parents taught us, because it's a specific reflection of us as parents. For
Mhm.
example, I was having lunch with a friend yesterday in a restaurant, and a toddler was having such a hard time. And I was so impressed and happy on how her family handled the situation. They didn't let that trigger them. There was a point that the toddler was moving so much that a glass break in the floor. At not one moment I saw the parents losing their cool and yell and getting triggered because your behavior is reflecting on how good of a mom I am. And then if I let you behave like that, then I'm a bad mom. And I think that it's very easy for us to cut into that. Is if you're the dining table, you need to use the silverware perfectly and use the napkin perfectly. And we get so concerned about those small details that the opportunity of connecting and having fun and building slip through our fingers, because no wonder our kids are not enjoying sitting down at the table with us. If it's going to be a military regime where 8 of 9 times things that they are doing are wrong, well, like I will ask the audience, every mom that is hearing us, if you know that every time that you go with me to shop, the only thing that I do is, hey, you are walking a curve. Hey, you need to fix your shoes. Hey, your hair is bad. Hey, remember to put makeup. Next time that I invite you, you're going to be like, I'm so busy. I cannot make it. Thank you. So I love what you are saying about letting your hair down. Don't see it as a reflection of who you are as a mom, but an opportunity for you to have fun. Now, let's gonna go deep into one of the big topics, and that is there is this taboo, and this is especially huge for moms of young children and moms that work and have children, and that is meal prepping. And meals become this stressful, draining, super long time consuming thing, that because that is the dragon that they had in their mind, they just give up even before they try to find somebody that support them like you. So let's gonna talk about that, about if it's actually even possible to have a stress-free meal planning and prep tips. And Why do you think that there is such a taboo about, oh, if I'm meal planning or a meal prep, I'm gonna have to spend so much time and so much energy, and I don't have that, so therefore I need to go to the crap mac and cheese full of chemicals or the pizza every day. Also, with the society putting a lot of pressure into fed the kids is better no matter how it is. Well, yes. And you can feed the kids and still do some of these other things without running yourself to the ground.
There's so many tricks that people can learn to make their prep time really quick, their planning time. There's a different way to meal plan for everybody because not everybody's lifestyle is the same, thank heavens. So, some people have this vision in their head. Oh, meal planning. I got to sit down. I've got to plan out a meal for 7 days or a month or 2 weeks, whatever it is. I don't know what I want tonight. How the heck am I going to know what I want tomorrow, what my family's going to be willing to eat 3 days from now? And they give up before they even try. So maybe that's not the meal planning system that's right for you. There's many ways to meal plan, and you have to find the one that works. You also have to have a minimum ability to be willing to experiment with your cooking. You need a little bit of flavors in your house. There's some pantry staples you should be having to make your foods vary because nobody wants to be eating Taco Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because who wants to come to the table for that? It's awful. So what I like to do, what I teach people to do is make some things in a batch. It's called batch cooking. So you can make a big batch of, let's say I was making an Indian dish, a chicken tikka masala or something. And you can buy your sauce from Trader Joe's because it doesn't have bad ingredients. Or you can make it from scratch, but there are shortcuts you can take, and I teach people shortcuts. So I say I'm doing that with rice. Rice is simple, not too hard to make. I'll make an extra batch of rice and I'll wait a couple of days and take those leftover rice and I'm going to make that into something else. I can make it into fried rice because you need day old rice to make fried rice. And my rice is already cooked. So that's going to save me time in the kitchen another day. Maybe I could add leftover roast chicken and make a chicken fried rice dinner. It would take me 10 minutes because everything was already done by batch cooking some of those ingredients the day before. So it's part of meal planning, it's part of meal prepping. You're thinking to yourself, if I buy this ingredient today and I want to use it, I don't know, this is what I'm going to make for dinner tonight. If I make leftovers, what could I do with those leftovers a little differently another night of the week? So your meal planning can be as easy as that. And now you're still covering up your meals for the week without being as rigid or stressed that you have to have these formal plans. Another thing you can do to prick up to quicken your meal prep is, let's say you like garlic. We must have been vampires in my family in another life because we love garlic. I mean, no doubt about it. So maybe when I'm cutting my garlic for a meal, I'll cut a whole lot of garlic and put it in a little baggie or a little container so it's already cut for the next meal I'm going to make. Again, I'm not cooking from scratch every single night because that was just a little bit of a meal prep that I was able to do to save me time for another night. Another thing I like to do is we like salads. And people say, oh my God, I'm not going to make a salad every night. That's so time consuming. I'm chopping up a million things and blah, 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 blah. When I make a salad, I make it in a way that it can last for a week. And the way that I do that is I take a big Tupperware container, I line it with paper towels, and then I put my lettuces in, I'll put my carrots, my purple cabbage in it, put whatever you want in there except your moist ingredients. So you're not going to put cucumbers in there, you're not going to put tomatoes in there. Once you put everything in your Tupperware, take another piece of towel paper, put it on top of the salad, put your cover on. That salad will last you for a week. Now, I'm not saying you need to eat salad every day because, again, there goes that boring factor. But if you are making those Taco Tuesdays and you like to put lettuce and other fixings on top of your tacos, go to that salad. Put that on the taco. It's already been made. Again, you're saving time. You could do so those are just like little things you can do to make your life easier and not having you resent that you have to spend time in the kitchen cooking. It gets rid of your stress and it gets rid of that resentment.
I love that. And I love the point that you make about experimentation because I was never I'm not being never a good cooker or a big cooker in my family. And one of the things that happened, and it's a personal experience, is because for my depression and anxiety and ADHD, one of the things that I found that triggered all of that is refined sugar. So in my house, we are refined sugar free, gluten free, dairy free, and we have so my mother-in-law comes and then she's always finding recipes. So like 2 months ago she came, she lives in another state, and she made this banana bread that was so good, was with almond flour, all that. And my message was like, oh, she's a good cooker, she did this amazing, next time that she come I'm really going to ask her to make me several to freeze. Then the person that usually make my desserts and my cakes moved out of state. So almost a month ago, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just try it. And I asked my mother-in-law, like, hey, can you give me the in directions of what you did? She did. And then on Friday evening, my husband was playing with my son outside, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. The worst thing that will happen is that it's uneatable, and I will just
Mhm.
throw it out. And two things were amazing. The first one, I was so surprised how fast it was. The monster in my head was making it like, oh, if it's a banana bread, it's going to be a lot of time. It was literally 15 freaking minutes to
Yep.
mix everything, put it in the oven, and then I had banana bread that tastes really good. And I did what you said yesterday. Yesterday, I went to the kitchen and it started happening like literally my husband was giving my baby a bath, and I'm like, okay, you're going to give the baby a bath, and hacks like that and recipes that are simple. While my baby was having a bath, I was making the banana bread, so by the time that the baby was out for PJs, the banana bread was ready. And I started doing that. I, instead of making one, I did two loaves, so now I have one in the freezer. So I think that is lovely, the concept that you are saying about batching, and the part of that perfect mom of you need to make a from scratch meal every night. No, you can recycle and leftover prepare a brand new meal. I love that. Now, Linda, let's go to talk a little bit about weeknights, because sometimes during the weekend we have a little bit more of room of flexibility. During the weeknights when we are working, the kids are at school, the kids need to go to bed early, it can become challenging. So, what are some of those tips and hacks and easy recipes for weeknights that some of these moms can start thinking in advance?
Absolutely. One of the first things you do when you're doing my loose version of meal planning, because you don't have to be so rigid if you don't want to be, is first thing you need to do is look at your calendar. Know what your schedule for the week is going to look like. Because if you don't realize that Wednesday night you're going to be working later, your kids have after school activities that are going to keep you away from the kitchen, don't plan on doing something complex that night. So if you don't know what your calendar looks like, you're setting yourself up for defeat or frustration. So on nights that you have a little bit more time, that's when you can do cutting up those extra onions for the week, cutting up that extra garlic for the week. Maybe you'll throw some marinade on your chicken. And if it's frozen, defrost it overnight in your refrigerator, put the marinade in. So by the time you come home, you've got a really flavorful piece of chicken that you can make in 15, 20 minutes. And if you're really struck for time, don't cook a chicken breast, cook chicken tenders. Those things cook up in 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to cook dinner. Um, if you're going to roast vegetables, roast a whole lot on those busy nights. Take those leftover roasted vegetables, make them with chicken tenders and the rice you have left over from your chicken tikka masala. So it's planning in a very structured way without having all the stress to go with it. And other things you can do, if you have a slow cooker, throw your food in the slow cooker in the morning, go out to work. When you're going to come back in the afternoon or in the evening, your food's done. It took me literally, you just throw everything in the pot and you can make your stews, all kinds of. I make a chicken taco soup. I just throw it in the pot because I know I'm going to be busy on a certain day. It's ready to go when I come home. So there's many things you can do. Another great thing that's quick and easy on a weeknight is a sheet pan dinner. And a sheet pan dinner is, you buy a sheet pan and you cook your food in stages. So if I was going to, let's say I was going to do shrimp with something, I would cut up I had my vegetables all cut up, and based on however their timing is, you cook them in the oven, and add your other foods on the same tray for the amount of cooking time they need. So when your longest cooking food is done, all your other vegetables and side dishes are done, you take out your tray, dinner's there, and your cleanup is only one tray. That's simple to clean. Because the other thing about cooking is, yes, you're so proud of yourself. I've made something finally, and everybody likes it. Hooray. And then you look over on your counter or in your sink, and you've got dishes upon dishes, and it's like, oh my God, it's not worth it. So you have to also learn not only cooking, but how to make your cleanup easier too. It all helps on weeknights when you're really stressed and busy.
I love all those tips, and how you're making sure to show that it can be easy, right? It doesn't have to be something painful, doesn't have to be something hard. Now, let's gonna talk a little bit about the second part after you have the meal, after you have the dinner, how you do the dinner conversations, the games, how you transform that food into an opportunity for the family to engage, to connect, to spend time together.
Absolutely. The first thing I will say is when your kids start going to school, don't say how was your day or what did you learn in school today at the table, because you're going to get a one word answer, fine, or I did nothing, and you're just going to go, that went nowhere. Not really a good way to have a dinner conversation. So we do games. We also have a thing that every single day of the year is a very silly holiday, not a religious holiday, a really silly holiday. So sometimes you might know, yeah, and when I work with people, they get to know these silly holidays, but you can make your meal around that silly holiday, and then that holiday will give you conversation. I'm going to give you an example of that. So there was a town in California that had a marketing agency, an advertising company, and on the top of their building they had this humongous, humongous statue. The body of the statue was a man, and the top was a chicken head. The ugliest, hideous thing you'd ever want on the top of a building. And the town people were like, whoa, what is this? It was a real eyesore at the beginning, but everybody loved it over time. Well, fast forward 20, 30 years, the marketing agency retired or moved, and the town, whoever bought the building, said, we got to get rid of this ugly chicken boy. It's hideous. And the townspeople said, no, that's our chicken boy. And they raised money and they took the statue and they put it in the park and they made September 5th Chicken Boy Day. Chicken Boy Day. How crazy is this? So come September 5th, I tell people celebrate Chicken Boy Day. You can make any chicken recipe you want, doesn't really matter. But let's talk about the conversation you're going to have at the dinner table, because that's really the important part of all of this. So you can say, if you were half human and half animal, what would you be? Now you're going to get insights into your kid, right? Because you want to get to know them. I mean, that's the whole point. Would you have any superpowers? What would those powers be? What would you use them for? Would you have any enemies? What are they fighting for? What are you protecting? All great conversations. Or you can say things like, everybody in this town loved this precious item. What's something you love as a kid that you want to keep forever and be able to give it to your kids? And now you're also getting a different insight. There's so many ways you can take this conversation once you have a framework for that conversation. And you've got a meal to go with it. Other things we do, we play all kinds of games. You can take card games and play the cards without using a board. You can play a round robin story, and this is for kids who are just starting to get talking and creative, and they don't need to read anything or do anything difficult. But a round robin story goes like this: somebody starts and say, "Once upon a time there was a," you're making this story, and you give about 2 or 3 sentences to the story. Then the next person adds to it any way they want. So now your story that you had in your mind may be becoming a completely different story. And then the next person goes until you decide that the story is, going to come to a conclusion. Well, now you've gotten a really tremendous insight into everybody on how they're thinking, and everybody's having fun because you're going, really? This games like that, you can do conversation starters that you can do. So now, if you're, like I said before, if your food's not so great, you're still having fun and you still want to come to the table the next night.
One thing that I love about that is because I work a lot with females and moms after the fact that had a lot of emotional eating. And part of that is because when they grow up, the only emotional connection and filling their tank was when they were having pizza because it was a celebration, a special thing, or after dinner because they all have dessert and then their parents were happy. So they start feeling their tank and their connection of feeling love and important and connected with very specific things that then is going to be what could trigger emotional eating. But with your approach, that connection is going to be a lot harder to make because you are going to be having fun and connecting. Doesn't matter if you are having chicken and broccoli or pizza or soup or salad. So then it's going to be more about the connection. So what is going to be important then is not what you were eating. That is the issue, that we connect the emotion to the eating. What is going to be important is what you were doing. And that is, I was spending time with my family. I was away from screens, just interacting, making conversation, laughing, learning from each other. So the other thing that I want to point out is that is not only game changer now, but is also helping us to make sure that our kids don't suffer from emotional eating as much as our generation is, because then they're not going to, their connection is going to be different, and they're going to literally be very clear that what they value is the time together, the family, the connection, because it is the same no matter what they are eating, and is not depending on specific foods to actually have that fun relaxed time. So I love that. Linda, one of the other things, and this will be probably a little bit more specific for um my mamas that are in the fourth trimester, in the first 6 months. Like, if you remember, those are a blur, we are sleep deprived, we are tired. What are some of the tips that they can do for themselves, or how they can find support and help on others to make sure that they still have some of these um sanity, sacred time, dinner, and making meals that will support their journey?
Sure, it's part of that's batch cooking. So, again, your meals don't have to be these monumental things. You could put your stew meat in a slow cooker in the morning, have it done, and make enough where you can freeze it, just like you said you did with your banana bread. So, on those days where you're sleep deprived and your eyes are blurry and the baby's still crying, you just defrost your food and it's going to be great. And you don't sacrifice your family time for being tired, because you actually get energized when you're finally connecting with somebody. I mean, it's like taking a shower, which often you're not going to be taking when you have a newborn. But that feeling when you get out of the shower, you're like a new person. Well, maybe at the end of a long day when you're stressed and you don't have a lot of time, if you could defrost that food and actually have a nice, warm, loving meal with your spouse, you'll get energized again. It's and keep in mind, it's only one meal. You know, whether your meal's a flop or not, there's always the next time. Don't put your pressure on yourself that every meal's got to be great. And I'm so tired and I can't do this. Well, you can. It doesn't have to be great. Make an omelet. It doesn't have to be great. But if you can make something quick with your spouse, or let your spouse help you, or when your kids are old enough, let them help you. It makes a very big difference. So, again, keep the pressure off yourself. Make it fun. Rise to the occasion when you're really exhausted. And like I said, an omelet anybody can make really, really quickly. Throw some rice together and just season it if you have to, and put some leftover protein on it. You can do plenty of things, but don't miss the opportunity to be kind to yourself. And as moms, especially as new moms, we're at the bottom of the heap on the priority list. And you're not doing anybody favors, because your resentment's going to grow, which means you're not going to show the love and the warmth to your family that you want to. So reverse your thinking.
And I love that because it's part of start seeing food as a way to be kind with yourself. And that is also a very powerful thought of being kind and understanding what I'm putting and seeing it as a way to nourish our body. And the other thing is that I always talk is I don't think that has to be all or nothing mentality, black and white. So you are doing everything from scratch or you are only having pre-made crap from the supermarket. Mama, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like if you enjoy, you can do all from scratch. But if not, like I will tell you something that I'm doing right now. I am outsourcing somebody that make my meats. So
Mhm.
they come in a box, pre-cooked. So pre-cook every week. I have burger beefs, turkey beefs, grilled chicken, shrimp, and then I only care about the side dish and the salad. That is a middle point. I'm not buying everything done. I'm not doing everything from scratch, but it's buying me time to do what Linda was saying. So the other thing that I will invite all of you is to not think on that all or nothing and also baby steps. So if you are one of those that are not a good thing that are not a good cooker, don't enjoy like the kitchen, is start thinking about why, right? And one of the things that I remember with one of my clients was that she didn't like cooking because it was such a hard thing when she was growing up. Her grandma will never let them go into the kitchen. It was always this taboo. Grandma was cranky when she was in the kitchen because she was so concentrated on making it perfect that then she would yell at them and scold them. So no wonder when she was adult, she was like, I don't want to cook.
Yep.
So start thinking about that because there is a reason why you are having so much resistance to cooking.
You
But
know,
then
another point of that as well. You know, if you're not a good cook yet, because you always can be a good cook, or if you don't have a lot of recipes under your belt and you find yourself watching TikTok or going to Pinterest or wherever you're going for your recipes, they're not written in stone. And sometimes you put yourself under pressure because you're looking at a recipe. Oh my gosh, I forgot this ingredient. Now I got to go to the grocery store. And you're running yourself ragged. Here's a clue: you can make those recipes your own or substitute an ingredient if you're missing something, or don't include it unless you're making beef and you don't have beef. Then you can't make the recipe. But when you learn how to substitute ingredients, or when you learn how to make a recipe that matches your flavor sensations, it's going to be very liberating. So start at the beginning. Don't be a slave to the written instruction. You know, like I said, we were vampires. If my recipe were to say I needed 1 clove of garlic, I'd laugh. You know, I'm putting way more in than 1 clove of garlic in my recipe. So learn some substitutions, learn where you can be flexible, learn where you can buy, like I said, that Trader Joe's tiki masala sauce without preservatives or bad ingredients in it. Learn where you can buy something to help along your recipe that will cut some of the time down and not reduce the flavor of it.
I think that you are being very consistent throughout the show with this message of being flexible. Don't take it personal and don't obsess about having it perfect. Actually, I'm laughing because with the banana bread, my husband don't like banana, but he likes banana bread.
That makes sense.
And the one that my mother-in-law did had two bananas. But I love bananas and my baby loved bananas. So when I did it, I was like, because I was with that mentality of I'm gonna try. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try three bananas instead of two and see how it changed. I really like it. My baby didn't like it. Bonus points, my husband did it, so now we don't have to share with him. So it's just for me and my baby. But I think that I love your approach of don't be so hard on yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can try, you can experiment. Don't be afraid because that is one of the things. If I switch this, if it says sugar and I put honey, if it says onions and I put garlic, I'm gonna ruin it. No, you're not.
It's just going to taste different. That's all. You know, and you're saying your husband doesn't like the banana bread. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I know the recipe now. You know the recipe, right? Maybe I'll substitute zucchini and raisins instead of the banana. And now I'm getting a vegetable in my kid. I'm getting a vegetable in my husband. I already know how to cook this recipe. I'm just switching out the banana. So, I mean, it's that easy.
I absolutely adore and love that. And let's gonna talk a little bit more as we start getting close to the end of the show into how moms can start building up that muscle. So, because one of the mistakes that I think moms do, and we all females do, is we want to go from 0 to 100. So we all want to be that Ferrari that goes from 0 to 100 in 5.5 seconds. And that is when we struggle because it's not easy. So how they can start warming up into the idea of cooking? What are your recommendations? How many times per week start? Maybe they can start better in the weekends. What are some of those tips for these moms that are inspired for what you are saying and they want to start with minimum chances to fail?
Start with a small step and something that's really, really easy. Because once you get a win under your belt, like you said before, when you made that banana bread, you said, "Wow, I didn't know it was so easy and so quick to make." You need a small win. It could be as simple as throwing some cut vegetables on a sheet pan, throw some olive oil on it, some garlic on it, and roast it for 20 minutes. And you are going to have a caramelized, delicious, delicious vegetable that you did nothing to. Literally, the oven did all your work. You didn't do anything except cut them. And it's like, wow, I've got this great side dish. Maybe I can put my leftovers in pasta tomorrow. Now I've got another dinner done. It takes very little to get a success. And each time you build on your success, you're building your recipe repertoire, you're building your confidence. And really, cooking is about confidence. You have to obviously know a couple of things. It's good to know a couple of cooking techniques. You can work with somebody to learn that. That's not that hard, it's not that difficult to do. And then once you have those techniques down, start playing with your flavors. Try a new spice combination. You can buy spice blends already made. You can buy Greek seasoning, you can buy fajita seasoning, or taco seasoning, or Italian seasoning, Moroccan seasoning, whatever you want. And you're not going out and buying 50 different spices. You got the nice little blend. Buy something fresh. Don't buy a huge container of spices because they're already stale by the time you bring them home. I can promise you that. So buy a quantity that you're going to use before it goes stale or loses its flavor. And when you start using fresher ingredients, your food's going to taste better by definition. And that's going to be encouraging for you to go further as well.
Thank you so much, Linda. Linda, we are having a lot of fun. We are getting close to end the show. Before we go, I would love for you, if there was only one thing that you could leave as a message to these mamas that are listening to you around the world, what that will be. And also for the one that fall in love with you and get inspired by you, how they can connect with you.
Sure. So my parting words would be dinner doesn't have to be complex to be delicious. It's really the truth for all your meals. It doesn't have to be complex to be delicious because you can make delicious in the ingredients you use or in the atmosphere you create while you are eating it. Both are equally delicious and both will enrich and nourish your soul and your family's soul. Doesn't have to be complex to be delicious. So to reach out to me, I'm Linda Lederman at Balaboosta's Secret, Balaboosta's Secret. Um, if you go to my website, you'll see different kinds of links for different free recipe guides I have. And once you click on those and sign up for one of the recipe guides, you'll be on my newsletter, which means you'll get my newsletter every week where I cover tips and all the things that we've talked about today. So that's a really great way to do it. I have a Facebook group called Easy Weeknight Dinners for Busy Moms. So if that sounds like you, go in there. We have lots and lots of fun, lots of recipes, lots of humor because you need humor in your life and you need to make it fun. And that's what we're all about.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was such a pleasure to have you here. So, moms, go and find Linda and her group for busy moms. And also, if you are not following me yet, go to Instagram at Joy Unicorn Coach. Send me your feedback about this session. Also, know that this show can be heard in the Spanglish Radio Network. please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it.